I never expected my marriage to end in a parking lot behind a smoothie bar. But I guess no one ever does. My name is Jack. I'm 46. 2 kids. Mechanical engineer. Married 20 years to a woman I thought I knew better than anyone. Her name is Melissa. She used to laugh when I burned the eggs on Sunday morning. She used to trace circles on my wrist when we watched TV. She used to be my best friend. 6 months ago, she got into fitness. Real hard. Out of nowhere. One morning she came into the kitchen, set down her mug, and said, "I signed up for a 6-month boot camp at Iron Forge Gym. They've got a killer trainer." I didn't think much of it. I'd been gaining a bit of weight myself, so her motivation felt contagious. She came home sore, out of breath, but energized. Her eyes sparkled again. I thought, damn, maybe this is a second wind for both of us. Then came the late nights. She started staying late after workouts. Said they had stretching cooldowns and group accountability sessions. Okay. Sure. I'm not the jealous type. I trusted her. At least, I used to. Then one Tuesday evening, I went out to her car. She asked me to grab her wallet while she was getting ready. The car still smelled like citrus, like the cleaning spray from the gym, I figured. But there it was. Sitting in the passenger seat. A sleek black metal water bottle with bold white letters on the side, a Troy. I picked it up. Cold. Recently used. Not hers. When I brought it inside, I asked, "Hey, whose bottle is this?" She glanced at it, shrugged, said, "Oh, probably one of the trainers. Maybe Troy's. I'll give it back tomorrow." Something about the way she said Troy, like she'd rehearsed it. I didn't press it. But that night, she slept with her back to me. And didn't kiss me good morning like she usually did. Little things. They start small. Like grains of sand under the mattress. Then they pile up. A week later, I noticed she changed her phone password. I asked her. Calmly. New password? She smiled, too casually. Yeah. IT security stuff from work. They told us to rotate passwords. But I work in engineering. I know tech protocols. Her job was admin for a local real estate office. No one rotates phone passcodes for listing brochures. Still, I let it slide. Then came the text. She left her phone in the kitchen while she showered. I wasn't snooping. I swear. But it lit up and buzzed 3 times. All from the same contact, et. No name. Just the letter. The preview read, "Last night was wild. Still can't believe that stretch." Another, "I hope your legs aren't too sore." And the third one? "We should try the sauna again. Just us." My heart didn't drop. It didn't even race. It just stopped. Like the air in the room disappeared. When she came downstairs, towel on her head, humming like nothing had changed, I stood there, arms crossed, phone in hand. She froze. I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. I just said, "Who's T?" Silence. Then, he's just a trainer. You reading into it. I tilted the screen toward her. Just a trainer? She hesitated. Blinked fast. Bit her lip. Then she turned it on me. "You've been distant for months, Jack. You don't even look at me like you used to." I needed connection. There it was. Not a confession. Not regret. Just justification. I nodded. Said nothing. Walked past her, out the front door, down the street. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to move. Breathe. I sat in my car. Stared at the dashboard. Turned off the ignition. That night, I slept in the basement. She didn't come down. In the morning, she left early. Texted me, we should talk later. But I didn't want to talk. I wanted answers. So I started watching. Tracking. No GPS apps or creepy stalker stuff, I just paid attention. She always left at 6:45 p.m. said the class started at 7. I followed. Stayed a block behind. She didn't go to Iron Forge. She went to a small studio on the other side of town. A private one. No signs. Just TF Studio spray painted on the window. I parked across the street and waited. At exactly 7:04 p.m., she walked in. Then, 10 seconds later, he walked out to greet her. Black shorts. Tight shirt. Muscles like something out of a Marvel movie. And that damn bottle in his hand. They hugged. She laughed. His hand stayed on her lower back for a little too long. I didn't take photos. Didn't need to. It was burned into my brain. That night, I didn't sleep. Didn't cry. Didn't even eat. I just sat in the kitchen, staring at the spot where we used to drink coffee together every Saturday. I sat in the kitchen, waiting. The clock ticked. Every second felt louder. At 11:30, the door opened. Melissa stepped inside, gym bag slung over her shoulder, hair tied back. She froze when she saw me sitting at the table, lights dim, coffee mug untouched in front of me. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't slam my fist. I just said, slowly, "So. How was the gym?" Her eyes flickered. A half-second pause. It was fine. Why? I leaned back. Crossed my arms. Iron Forge must have moved locations, since you never actually go there anymore. Her face drained. I could almost hear her heartbeat across the room. She dropped her bag. Hands trembled just enough to notice. "Jack," she whispered. I didn't let her finish. "I followed you, Melissa. I saw you at that private studio. With him." Silence. Thick. Heavy. Like cement settling between us. Finally, she sank into the chair opposite me. Elbows on the table. Head in her hands. Then she said the words I already knew were coming, and I didn't mean for it to happen. That phrase. That cliché. Like a rotten fruit dropped in front of me. I almost laughed. But my throat was too tight. Instead, I said, "How long?" Her voice cracked. "A few months." I narrowed my eyes. "Don't lie. Don't minimize." She broke. Tears rolled down. She tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled back. 8 months, she admitted. 8 months. While I worked late on projects. While I packed lunches for our kids. While I thought we were steady, solid, unshakable. 8 months she spent with him, while coming home to me. I asked the question no one ever wants to ask. "Did you sleep with him?" She nodded. Slowly. Ashamed. But not ashamed enough. Because when she looked up, her eyes weren't full of guilt. They were full of something else. Relief. As if telling me the truth was a burden she was finally unloading. That stung worse than the admission itself. I whispered, "Why?" Her answer was a dagger. "He makes me feel alive. He listens. He pushes me to be better. You've been so focused on work. You've been distant, Jack." There it was. The script. The justification. The shifting of blame. I stood up. Walked to the sink. Turned on the faucet. Just to hear something other than her voice. Water rushed, splashing against the steel. My knuckles tightened on the counter. When I turned back, I said, calm and cold, "You destroyed 20 years of trust for some sweaty trainer with abs." Her lip quivered. But she didn't deny it. Instead, she whispered, "I'm sorry. But I don't know if sorry is enough." I stared at her. Long silent. Then I said, "No. It isn't." The next day, she acted like nothing happened. Made coffee. Kissed the kids. Went off to work. But every time I looked at her, all I saw was him. His hand on her lower back. His water bottle in her car. His messages on her phone. I couldn't stay quiet. Not anymore. So I started planning. Not just leaving. Not just divorcing. Something sharper. Something that would cut as deep as what she'd done to me. I began with the gym. Iron Forge wasn't the place. The real action happened at that side studio. TF Studio. His kingdom. His hunting ground. I dug. Online records. Business licenses. The studio was registered under his name. Troy Matthews. 30 years old. Former amateur bodybuilder. No college degree. A string of failed ventures before opening his little gym 2 years ago. The guy had charm. Muscles. And apparently, my wife. But charm doesn't keep a business alive. Money does. And he didn't have much of that. I found late payment notices on public record. Tax liens. Lawsuits from former clients. The man wasn't just reckless in relationships. He was reckless everywhere. That gave me an idea. A cruel one. But when someone guts you, you don't hand them a bandage. You make sure they bleed reputation, career, pride. I gathered everything. Screenshots of texts. Photos of her car parked outside his studio overnight. Even recordings of her voice, the night she confessed. I saved it all in a folder. Labeled it, The Truth. Then I asked myself, do I send this to his landlord? His clients? His sponsors? Or do I start with her? That night, over dinner, I slid my phone across the table. Opened the folder. Hit play. Her voice echoed through the speakers, 8 months. He makes me feel alive. She froze. Fork halfway to her lips. The kids were upstairs. The house was quiet. I leaned forward, whispering, I wonder what your boss would think, Melissa. Or your parents. Or the PDA board. Her face turned pale. You wouldn't, she whispered. I smirked. Try me. Because in that moment, I realized something important. She thought I'd crumble. She thought I'd beg. She thought I'd cling. But she didn't know me. Not anymore. I wasn't the man making excuses for her late nights. I wasn't the fool overlooking strange texts. I was the man she underestimated. And I was about to remind both of them exactly who I was. Revenge doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces. Small moves. Careful steps. Like laying down dominoes. One by one. Until the whole line is ready to fall. I didn't rush. I didn't scream. I didn't storm into that gym and punch him in the face. That would have been too easy. Too short. Too forgettable. No. I wanted them both to feel it. Slow. I wanted it to sink in. So first, I gathered information. Step 1. I went back to that studio. Parked across the street. Watched. Waited. Took notes. She arrived at the same time. Every Tuesday. Every Thursday. Every Saturday morning. Always the same routine. Sometimes, I watched them leave together. Him holding her bag. Her laughing too hard at some joke. Like teenagers who thought no one saw. I saw. And I wasn't the only one. I struck up a casual chat with the barista across the street. A young kid with a man bun, making ladis with foam hearts. I asked, "Busy place over there?" He smirked. "That trainer?" "Yeah. Half the women in town line up for him. Married, single, doesn't matter." That was my confirmation. It wasn't just Melissa. It was his pattern. His business model. He wasn't a trainer. He was a parasite. And parasites get exposed. Step 2. I dug deeper. I called the gym under a fake name. Asked about joining. The receptionist hesitated. Said they weren't taking many new clients. But the moment I mentioned Troy, her tone changed. "Oh, Troy always has openings for special clients." Her voice dripped with implication. Even the staff knew. Perfect. That was leverage. Step 3. I started documenting. Phone records. Screenshots. Bank statements showing charges at hotels across town on nights she claimed to be at spin class. Every breadcrumb. Every inconsistency. I even installed a small recorder in her car. Hidden under the passenger seat. Not illegal, it was my car too. And the things I heard. Whispers. Giggles. One night, the sound of her voice, low and breathless, "You make me feel like I'm 20 again." It hurt. Every word was a blade. But pain can be fuel. If you know how to use it. Step 4. I tested her. One evening, I asked casually, "Hey, Melissa. Maybe we should go to the gym together sometime. You can introduce me to this trainer you rave about." Her fork froze midair. She forced a smile. "You wouldn't like it there. It's intense." I leaned back. "I can handle intense." She laughed nervously. Changed the subject. That told me everything. She didn't want me near him. Didn't want the worlds colliding. Which meant, if I pushed them together in public, the mask would slip. And I planned to do exactly that. Step 5. I built my network. I reached out to her best friend, Diane. Not directly about the affair. Just subtle. "Melissa's been different lately, hasn't she?" Diane sighed. "Don't get me started. She's been spending so much time at that gym. I barely see her anymore." I nodded. "Yeah. Makes you wonder what's really going on." A seed planted. Because gossip spreads faster than truth. And once the whispers start, the truth doesn't even need to be proven. It grows legs on its own. But I wasn't done. Step 6. I prepared the strike. I compiled every screenshot. Every recording. Every receipt. I created a timeline. 8 months of betrayal. Laid out, day by day, like a case file. Then I asked myself, who gets it first? Her boss? His landlord? A kid's school PDA? Or maybe, everyone. All at once. I smiled to myself. The thought tasted sweet. But before I pulled the trigger, I wanted her to know. To feel the fear. To see the storm coming. So one night, as she slept, I slid a single photo into her purse. A photo I'd taken from across the street. Her. With Troy. Laughing, his hand low on her back. The next morning, she found it. When she pulled it out at the breakfast table, her face drained of color. Her hands shook. I just sipped my coffee. Calm. Something wrong, Melissa? She shoved the photo back into her purse. Didn't say a word. The silence was louder than any confession. And that silence told me, she knew. She knew I wasn't the fool she thought I was. She knew the walls were closing in. That was the turning point. From that day on, she was different. She came home earlier. Cooked dinner more often. Tried to make small talk. But it was too late. Because I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her reckoning. And when the reckoning comes, it doesn't knock. It kicks the door down. Revenge is a dish best served cold. But I wasn't serving it cold. I was serving it calculated. Precise. Every step measured. Every move deliberate. Melissa thought she could outsmart me. Thought she could juggle two lives. One with me, the faithful husband. And one with him, the fantasy trainer. But fantasies don't survive daylight. And I was about to flood her world with it. It started with an email. Simple. Clean. Ruthless. I drafted a message. Attached the timeline I'd built. Photos. Text messages. Receipts. Audio clips. Proof so strong, no one could deny it. Subject line, a professional misconduct, confidential. I sent it to the gym's corporate office. CC'd their HR department. BCC'd his landlord. In one click, I dropped a grenade into his career. Step 2. I contacted Melissa's boss. I wasn't cruel about it. I wasn't graphic. I just wrote, and Melissa has been engaging in an inappropriate relationship with a local trainer. She's been lying about late-night work commitments. I thought you should be aware, since her behavior reflects on your company. Professional. Cold. No room for excuses. Her boss replied within the hour, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Translation? Her image at work was shattered. Step 3. I scheduled a delivery. Printed copies of my timeline. Bound them neatly in a folder. No anonymous drop. No sneaky mail. I had them delivered straight to her parents' doorstep. Signed, from Jack. You deserve the truth. That one hurt her the most. I knew it would. Because parents don't forget betrayal. And they never forgive shame. Step 4. I went nuclear. I created a simple anonymous page online. Uploaded just enough evidence to stir curiosity. Not all of it. Just enough. Then I sent the link to 3 people. Her best friend Diane. One of the PDA moms. And her sister. That was all it took. 3 sparks. And suddenly the fire spread. Within a day, whispers turned into full conversations. By the weekend, everyone in our circle knew. Melissa wasn't just the wife who went to the gym. She was the wife who betrayed her husband for the gym. The fallout was immediate. Troy's studio? Shut down temporarily for investigation. His landlord filed for breach of contract. Sponsors pulled out. Clients cancelled memberships. Melissa's office? She was asked to take some time off. Which is polite language for don't bother coming back. Her phone? Exploded with messages. Friends. Family. Even strangers. All asking the same thing, why? And me? I stayed quiet. Didn't gloat. Didn't post. Didn't argue. I just watched. Watched as the walls closed in on both of them. The first confrontation came at home. She stormed into the kitchen, eyes wild, folder in her hands. You sent this to my parents? I didn't look up from my coffee. I just said, calm, they deserve the truth. Her voice cracked. You ruined me, Jack. I leaned forward, finally meeting her eyes. No, Melissa. You ruined you. I just made sure the world saw it. She broke then. Collapsed into the chair. Hands covering her face. But I felt nothing. No pity. No sympathy. Just closure. The second confrontation came from him. Troy called me. Middle of the night. His voice was shaky, desperate. Man, we need to talk. You didn't have to go this far. You're destroying my life. I let him talk. Rant. Beg. Then I said, slow and steady. You destroyed your own life the moment you touched my wife. Actions have consequences, Troy. Consider this yours. I hung up. Blocked his number. Silence never felt so satisfying. And Melissa? She tried. Oh, she tried. Came to me days later, tears in her eyes, whispering, maybe we can work through this. Maybe counseling. Maybe a fresh start. I looked at her long. Measured. Then I shook my head. Counseling can't fix betrayal. And fresh starts don't come from lies. Her shoulders sagged. Like she finally realized, it was truly over. I filed for divorce the next week. Gave her nothing she didn't earn. Kept the house. Secured custody of the kids. She left with her gym bag and broken reputation. And me? I walked away clean. Scarred, yes. But not broken. Never broken. Because here's the truth. Cheating isn't just betrayal. It's theft. It steals your trust. Steals your peace. Steals the life you thought you had. But the thief never expects you to steal back. And I did. I stole back my dignity. My pride. My future. And I left her, and her trainer, in the ruins they built together. The storm had passed. But the silence afterward was louder than thunder. Melissa was gone. Her side of the closet empty. Her perfume no longer lingering in the hallway. Her laughter, fake as it was, vanished from the house. For the first time in 20 years, the house was mine. Truly mine. I thought I'd feel lonely. I thought the nights would break me. But instead, I felt something else. Peace. The kids noticed. Of course they did. My daughter asked, "Why isn't Mom living here anymore?" I crouched down, looked her in the eyes, and said the only truth I could give without destroying her world. Mom made some choices that weren't fair to us. She needs time to figure things out. It wasn't the full story. But it was enough. And in her young heart, maybe it was kinder than the ugly details. My son? He was older. He understood more. He didn't ask questions. He just nodded once, and hugged me tighter than he ever had before. That hug told me everything. He knew. Maybe not the details. But he knew. And he was on my side. Melissa tried to fight. She wanted sympathy. She wanted forgiveness. She even tried to spin the story, told people I was cold, that I drove her away. But the evidence was out there. The photos. The messages. The timeline. She couldn't bury it. And the more she tried, the deeper she sank. Friends distanced themselves. Her family stopped answering her calls. Even Diane, her closest ally, told me privately, I can't defend her anymore. That was the real punishment. Not just losing me. Not just losing the kids. But losing her image. Because Melissa cared more about how the world saw her, than how I saw her. And I'd taken that away. As for Troy. Last I heard, he left town. His studio closed. His reputation burned to ashes. I imagine him in some small apartment, scrolling through job postings, wondering how it all collapsed so fast. But I don't waste much thought on him. He's not my problem anymore. He's just nothing. And nothing is exactly what he deserves. The real battle wasn't with them. It was with myself. Because after 20 years of being a husband, a provider, a partner, I had to ask, who am I now? The first few weeks, I buried myself in routine. Work. Cooking. Helping the kids with homework. Filling the silence with tasks. But at night, the silence crept back in. Memories. Images. Her laughter. His face. That damn water bottle. It replayed like a broken record. Over and over. I realized revenge had given me justice, but not healing. And healing was something I'd have to build. So I started small. I joined a gym. Not hers. Not his. A different one. One where no one knew me, no one looked at me with pity. At first, I hated it. Every machine felt like mockery. Every trainer reminded me of him. But then, something shifted. The weights didn't judge me. The treadmill didn't lie. The sweat felt real. Honest. And for the first time in months, I felt my own strength again. Not anger. Not bitterness. Strength. I also started writing. At night, instead of replaying her betrayal, I wrote it down. Every memory. Every detail. Every wound. Page after page, until the ink blurred and the paper warped under the weight of my words. It wasn't for her. It wasn't for anyone else. It was for me. Because once it was on paper, it wasn't in my head anymore. It was out. Released. And every morning, I felt just a little lighter. Then came the unexpected. A colleague invited me to a cookout. Nothing special. Just burgers, beer, kids running around in the yard. And that's where I met Emily. She wasn't glamorous. Wasn't trying too hard. She was just real. A widow. 2 years older than me. Smart eyes. Steady laugh. The kind of woman who didn't play games. We talked. Not about the past. Not about betrayal. About books. About music. About dumb reality TV shows we both secretly enjoyed. For 3 hours, I forgot Melissa even existed. And when I drove home that night, I realized something. Revenge had given me justice. But maybe life still had something better waiting for me. I didn't rush into anything with Emily. Didn't dump my baggage at her feet. Didn't chase her like a desperate man. I just let it happen. A text here. A coffee there. A walk in the park on a Sunday morning. Slow. Gentle. Honest. The opposite of everything Melissa had done. And every time I was with Emily, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. So here's what I know now. Cheating doesn't end your life. It feels like it. It feels like your whole world is burning. But really, It's just clearing the field. Burning down what was rotten. So something better can grow. Melissa destroyed my trust. Troy destroyed his own future. But me? I rebuilt. Stronger. Calmer. Wiser. And maybe, happier. The man who once sat in silence, staring at a water bottle in his wife's car. He's gone. What's left is a man who knows his worth. Knows his strength. Knows he'll never settle for lies again. And that is the real victory. It's strange. You spend years believing your life is set. Predictable. Safe. Then one secret, one betrayal, and the entire foundation cracks. At first, you think you'll never recover. But with time, with patience, you realize something important. The crack didn't destroy you. It just showed you where the weak spots were. And once you see them, you can rebuild. Stronger. Better. Wiser. Melissa still calls sometimes. Not often. Just enough to remind me she exists. Can we meet for coffee? Can we talk, just the two of us? Can't we try again? Her voice always sounds tired. Defeated. Like someone grasping at the last pieces of a life she shattered with her own hands. I don't scream at her. I don't curse. I don't even argue. I just say, no, Melissa. That chapter is closed. Because that's what it is now. A chapter. Not my whole book. Just one section I'll never read again. Sometimes people ask if I regret what I did. If I regret exposing her. Exposing him. Dragging the truth into the light. And my answer is simple. No. Regret belongs to those who hesitate. Those who doubt. Those who cling to lies just to avoid loneliness. But me? I didn't hesitate. I didn't doubt. I didn't cling. I acted. I cut the cord clean. I took back control of my life. And I have no regrets. What about forgiveness? That's a question I hear a lot. Do I forgive her? Do I forgive him? The truth? I don't waste my energy on forgiveness. Forgiveness is for people who still want to carry the past. I don't. I set it down. And I walked away. That's enough. The divorce is final now. The papers signed. The assets divided. The kids live with me. They see her sometimes. Weekends. Holidays. I don't poison their minds against her. I don't need to. Children see more than we think. They know who's steady, and who isn't. They'll grow up remembering who was there. Who packed lunches. Who stayed up late helping with projects. Who kept the roof over their heads when everything else fell apart. And that memory will be enough. As for me, life feels different now. Calmer. More focused. I wake up without dread. Without suspicion. Without wondering if the person lying next to me is lying in more ways than one. I cook breakfast. I go to work. I come home to peace. And some evenings, I meet Emily. It's still new. Still cautious. But it's real. And real is all I want. She doesn't ask about Melissa. Doesn't pry. She just listens when I choose to share. And when she laughs, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like a mask. It feels honest. That honesty is worth more than all the years I wasted on lies. Sometimes, late at night, I replay everything. Not out of pain anymore. But out of clarity. The water bottle in the car. The texts on her phone. The photo I slipped into her purse. The look on her face when she realized her world was collapsing. Each memory is sharp. But they don't cut me anymore. They remind me. They remind me that I survived. That I rose above it. That I chose strength over weakness. And that reminder is powerful. I know not everyone agrees with how I handled it. Some say I went too far. Some say I should have just walked away quietly. But those people don't understand. They don't know what it's like to give someone 20 years of your life and have them throw it away for a cheap thrill in a sweaty gym. Quiet doesn't heal that. Silence doesn't restore dignity. Action does. And my actions made sure the betrayal didn't end with me broken. It ended with them exposed. And I can live with that. Proudly. So where do I go from here? Forward. No looking back. No second chances for her. No wasted energy on bitterness. Just forward. For my kids. For myself. And maybe, for Emily. Because life doesn't end with betrayal. It begins again. And the man who once sat in silence, wondering how he missed the signs. He's gone. The man who remains is unshakable. Epilogue. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. Cheating is not the end of your life. It's the end of their mask. Don't let betrayal break you. Let it reveal you. Show you who you really are. And when it does, stand tall. Act with clarity. Take back your power. Because in the end, you don't just survive. You rise.